Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Ganti here. This is Depth Foundation class. So we're here again today to hold our class, our lecture on another important topic from the Bible. Okay. So as you already know, my name is Abuchi Okaro, and I am the founder of Depth Foundation. Depth Foundation is an organization that is shining the light on the path of true self-realization, which is realizing the God that you are, which is your primary purpose for coming to this journey here on earth, the third dimension. Thank you for joining us once more today for the topic, the subject, the 12 disciples, the 12 aspects of your mind. Okay, so if you're already following us, you would have known what we teach. So we basically teach that the Bible is a psychological book that has all its characters and authors as the personifications of your attributes, of your consciousness attributes, basically. So we are teaching that the Bible is not a contemporary history. It is not a book that has the characters, and the actors as people who lived in time and space sometime. Okay, it's basically a book that was written by those that are called the illuminated mystics. So people that achieved enlightenment. And the Bible contains or represents all the psychological drama that is taking place within you. Okay, there's nothing that is in the Bible right now that is not taking place within you right now, and this knowledge is what gave birth to Depth Foundation. So exploring the deep within yourself, realizing the God that is in you, as the Bible rightly mentioned. Okay, the kingdom of God is in you. The temple of God is in you. Christ is in you. God lives in his temple. He doesn't live in the temple that is made with human hand, and all of those things. So this is the kind of teaching we bring, because we know we know it, that this is the true nature of the Bible. It's psychological drama of your own consciousness, which is within you, which is responsible. It is the light that radiates all the experiences you're currently having, the ones you've had in the past, the ones you're going to have tomorrow on your screen of space. So once those concepts of yourselves are radiated on your screen of space, you begin to experience it in your physical world. Okay, so we've dealt with a lot of topics, so you can go to the platform we use, Depth Foundation use for its teaching, which is the Ganti Facebook page. The reason why we opted for Ganti is an Igbo word that means listing, is that one of the reasons why people are not open to what I can call new information is because they don't listen. In fact, listening is one of the most difficult things any human being can do. I mean, take yourself, for example. Somebody is talking to you. While the person is talking, if I should ask you to let me know all the details of everything the person said, you will see that you wouldn't have, there's no way you will know all the details, right? You can understand the key point the person is trying to make, but all the parts that helped deliver the key point, you won't pay attention to it. The reason is because as the person is talking, your thoughts are going wild, like the wild beast. That's also the reason why we want to teach today's topic, which has to do with the 12 aspects of your mind, which is what the mystics who wrote the Bible personified as the 12 disciples. Okay? So, back to what I was saying, listening is a very difficult job, and it is difficult only for one reason, because in a minute, 60,000 thoughts hit your mind. So imagine somebody is talking to you and different thoughts are hitting your mind. You will definitely not listen to everything. So that's why listening is difficult. And because it's difficult, we need to then call people's attention to say, "Ooh, listen." So that's why we created a platform, which is the Genti Facebook page. Also Genti, YouTube channel, where we hold our lectures. So if you want to watch our past videos, you can go to any of these social media platforms to listen to our past video. But today, what we want to deal with is these 12 disciples, the mystics personified, these 12 aspects of your mind, the mystics personified as the 12 disciples. Because today people think, just like they think of Jesus, they also think, and all of the characters and authors in the Bible, they also think that these 12 disciples were people that lived in time and space, The way to understand how we see the Bible and why we are doing this work is think of Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, okay? Think of Chinua Achebe as the mystics who wrote Things Fall Apart. Who is the main character in Things Fall Apart? That is Okonkwo, is the main character. Then there are other characters and other authors, but the main one is Okonkwo. It's the same way the Bible is. It was the mystics that wrote it. The main character is God, is Jesus, and then there are other characters, okay? So the Bible isn't a book of contemporary history. None of those characters lived in time and space. They were just used by the mystics to represent the different attributes of your consciousness, which is personified in the Bible as God or Christ or whatever you want to call it. It was personified in different ways. And even Joshua, because Joshua is Christ. Jehoshua is Christ. It's Jesus Christ. But when we were taught as kids, in Bible study, they told us Joshua is a different person from Jesus Christ. No, Joshua is Christ. Okay, so, but always stay with us if you understand. Let's go to today's topic. Okay, as you know, the 12 disciples, which are the 12 aspects of your mind that requires you to discipline so that they can stop behaving like the mob and start behaving like the trained soldiers, so that they can be your friend and start friendship with you. If it's currently not disciplined, then they are like the wild beasts. They behave like the mobs, unlike when it is disciplined and they are behaving like trained soldiers. So where do we draw today's topic Bible verse from? Let's go to Matthew 10:1, and it reads, "And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples," unto him is, of course, Christ. That's what it's talking about, okay? When he has called unto him his 12 disciples. And that Christ is you, when you have called unto yourself the 12 disciples. He gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out. So the things to unclean spirits here represents the things that are in your world that you're not, you don't like them, okay? So like problems, sufferings, and all of those things. So it is only when you have, disciplined these 12 aspects of the mind that these unclean spirits will be casted away from your world, okay? And that way you'll be able to heal all of those past sicknesses and, all manner of diseases. It's also these unclean spirits, sicknesses, diseases are all representing all the problems you're currently experiencing. And the reason why you're experiencing this problem is because you have not disciplined those 12 aspects of the mind. Do you understand? So as I told you, the 12 aspects of this mind that the Bible represented with the 12 disciples, if not disciplined, as I explained, they act like the wild animal, okay? Animals that cannot be controlled. But if they are disciplined, they act like trained soldiers, okay? Then you can begin to achieve anything you want to achieve, in the state that you desire. So that's why we take this Bible verse to drive home what we're trying to teach. Okay, so I want you to keep an open mind as you listen. That's the only way you can get to hear the message I am trying to pass across. Okay, so we're now going to take each of those 12 disciples that are the 12 aspects or qualities of your mind and tell you what those qualities, those states, those disciplines, or what you call disciple, represent. Okay, and you all know who the 12 disciples are. Okay, they are Simon, who was later surnamed Peter. Then you have Andrew, you have James, you have John, you have Philip, you have Bartholomew, you have Thomas, you have Matthew, you have James the son of Alphaeus, then you have Thaddeus, you have Simon the Canaanite, or Simon, the land flowing with milk and honey, and then you have Judas. Judas is the one the world hates so much, because according to them, if you don't see the psychological meaning of these characters in the Bible, you will hate Judas, okay? But in reality, after this lecture, you will understand the disciplined Judas. And on your own, you put it as the top of these 12 disciples. The world hates Judas so much because they see it from this, just the literal aspect, they see him, they see that character as a person who lived in time and space, basically, that betrayed Christ. Do you understand? So now let's go to the first quality. Now the first quality is Simon, okay, that was later named Peter. This quality or aspect of your mind that was personified in the Bible as Simon Peter is the discipline of hearing. Now, if you study the connection between Christ and Peter in the Bible, you understand that Simon was instructed to mind the kind of visitors he allows into his house. He was told to allow only those dignified and honorable visitors into his house. And the way that we will know if he allowed only dignified and honorable visitors into his house is the kind of people that are in his house, basically. That's one aspect of that character, Simon. So in terms of, if you relate it to the discipline of the mind, it is the discipline of hearing. What is this trying to portray? What are the mistakes trying to teach here? They are trying to teach you about the hearing, how important hearing ease to your mind. Because just like Simon, who was told to mind the kind of visitors he allowed, and was told that you need to allow visitors who are honorable and who are dignified. So how it relates to you and your mind is you need to mind the kind of things you hear. That's why in Philippians 4 verse 4, I like mentioning this Philippians 4 verse 4 because people don't know how powerful that particular Bible verse. It says, think of those things that are ennobling, those things that are of good rapport. So you need to mind the kind of things that gets to your ear. Make sure, what you are now advised, make sure that you only hear things that are ennobling, things that are of good rapport. That's what represents the dignified and honorable visitors. Because at the end of the day, we will know based on the kind of life that's based on the kind of experiences that you're currently having in your physical world. We will know the kind of visitors you allow to enter your house. Because whatever you hear and then accept as true, whether it is about you or about someone else, as far as you have heard it and you feel about it, it will appear in your physical world. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. That's why you need to discipline this aspect of the mind that was personified in the Bible as Simon Peter. You need to discipline it. It is the discipline of hearing. You need to, just like Simon was advised, to only allow things that are honorable and dignified to enter as visitors in his house. That's why you need to only, according to Philippians 4 verse 4, think of those things, hear of those things that are ennobling, hear of those things that are of good rapport. So you need to discipline yourself on that. Now, the other aspect that has to do with Simon Peter, because obviously it was Simon, then later surnamed Peter. Peter, because he was the one that found out that I am is Christ. I found out that I am first person present tense is Christ. And for this reason, he became the foundation stone upon which the temple of God is built. So the moment you find out that you are, that the Christ is in you, that you are actually the Christ, as Christ is in you, you would know that Christ is the foundation upon which the temple of God is built. I remember the aspect of the Bible that talked about the temple of God is within you. And we know that God lives in his temple, as I've explained. The kingdom of God is at hand. And of course, the king lives in the kingdom of. So the temple, and there's also an aspect of the Bible that then said that God does not live in a temple made with human hand. Okay, so it was Peter that found out that Christ is I am, which is consciousness, the main character in the Bible. Then for this reason, he was given the key to the heavens, meaning that since you have found out that I am is the Christ, okay, then through I am, you can build a heaven for yourself. You can access heaven. Heaven means desirable thing, what you desire happening to you. So that's why he then was, Simon, and then became Peter, Simon Peter. So that's the aspect, the discipline, the hearing, disciplining your hearing. You need to know the kind of things you hear and accept to be true. Now, let's go to the next one, which is Andrew. Okay. Andrew. Now, the thing about these disciples, you know them by their name. Okay. You understand their true nature by their names. Okay. So, Andrew is the quality of courage. Now, and he's a brother to Simon Peter. Now, the reason why they are brother is you can't separate the two. Okay? Peter, Simon Peter, who found that Christ is I am, then placed his faith in himself since he found out that Christ is I am. That faith, the brother of faith is courage. Why? Because courage is graduated faith. How is courage graduated faith? You can call it an advanced faith, whatever you want to call it. But Andrew simply represents the discipline of the mind, courage. And this kind of courage is attributed to the person who has found his I amness as the Christ, the creator of all his life experiences, be it good, bad, and ugly. But because you don't want the so-called bad ones, that's why Simon was instructed to be mindful of the kind of visitor he lets in. So be mindful of the kind of things, the kind of concept of self you have about yourself, because it is it that will be impressed on the foundation that the temple lies on. It will impress on it and it will appear in your physical world. So courage is for those who have understood their I amness to be the Christ. So their faith now lies in them, other than putting their faith in another. A pastor, a GO. Some people technically worship their GO, their father, according to them. That's putting your faith in another. You know the thing about such a faith of somebody who has not realized that your I amness is the Christ, which is in you. The difference between someone who has realized this and places his faith and knows that everything comes out of me, so he looks inward. That's where he exercises his faith. The difference between that person and the other who hasn't realized this, who state things that there's a God outside of him or her, and then because of that he's looking outside of himself or herself to exercise his or her faith. What happens in that instance is the moment that place you place your faith is not there, that will be the end of that faith. But unlike someone who has understood this I amness, that's the link, the connection between Simon Peter and Andrew. Someone who has understood that I amness to be the Christ, where you should only place your faith. If anything happens in your visible world, you are not bothered, because you place your faith on that I amness, which is simply, if anything goes wrong, you will be fine, because you know that all you need to do is to move your focus and place it on that thing you want to embody, that desire. This is the discipline aspect of your mind, that is courage. The next is James, the justice, followed by John, the beloved. They are also related, James the justice, because anybody who has disciplined this aspect of the mind now understands that every state comes from a cause. So he doesn't judge states based on the physical qualities, because every state, whether good or bad, has its qualities. He doesn't judge because he knows that every state arises from that consciousness. So whether about himself or another, he does not judge. He doesn't judge negative, he judges with love. That's why James and John are related. Justice plus love. You can only have justice and love coexist together when you understand that every state is a cause that is from the I am, which is Christ, which is your consciousness. So why do you don't then judge based on the fact that you think that that physical quality is what it is. No, you know that where it's you know where everything is coming from, and because you know that, you judge with love, because you know you can go to that consciousness and then tweak the consciousness so that it can start manifesting a desired state from an undesired one. So anybody who has disciplined this aspect of the mind knows, discipline this aspect of the mind. James, justice; John, beloved, would only be expressing love to himself and other people, knowing that everything is from one state, whether it's big, good, bad, or ugly. So this is that aspect of the mind that is justice, but justice through love, not justice through, criticism, hate, and all of those things. So let's go to the next one. The fifth is Philip. Philip is that disciple who asks to be shown the Father. And then Christ responded. Let's go to Christ's response. He says, "No man has at any time seen my Father, but I, the Son, who dwelleth in his bosom, have revealed him. Therefore, when you see me, the Son, you see my Father, for I come to bear witness of my Father. I am my Father." Father is consciousness. And it, are one. So the things you take out, he asks, is the aspect of the mind that asks to see the Father. So it's that aspect of mind that knows that consciousness is the Father. That's why Jesus responded to say, if you see me, you have seen the Father. That him and the Father are one. So as I see you, I have seen the Father. As you see me, you have seen the Father, because I and the Father are one. I bear witness to the Father. Simply means that the current state that you are experiencing in the world around you is bearing witness to the Father, the state of the Father. Simply, whatever you have as concept of yourself, it will bear a son. So that son is an indication of the Father. You can't separate the Father from the Son. So this is an aspect of the mind that also understands that the Father, the Son, is bearing witness to the Father. And through the Son, you can understand the Father. So for there to be a Son, a Father has to exist. And it is the Son that reveals the Father. It is your current state that reveals where you are in your consciousness. And everything comes out of the consciousness. That's the discipline Philip, the one that asked to be shown the Father. So the awakened man, just like Philip, knows that his consciousness is the Father. So as this consciousness knows that, as this discipline of the mind knows that the consciousness is the Father, it is the discipline of the mind that then persists, because since I already know that everything comes out of my Father and I and my Father are one, everything comes forth. There's nothing that was made that was not made by the Father. Then he persists. He knows it that when he appropriates the concept of self he wants to embody in his physical world, he persists on it. That's the aspect of the Bible that talked about Jacob and the angel wrestling. And Jacob insisted that I will never let you go unless you bless me. So it is the discipline of the mind that persists, knowing who the Father is. After he said, show me the Father, and Christ showed him the Father. So he knew who the Father is. And because he has known that the Father is out of the Father that all things emanate, if he wants to, he has already understood that principle. Any desire he wants to embody, he knows that if he persists, that desire will harden into fat. It must manifest in his physical world. So this aspect of the mind, Philip, is the disciplined aspect of the mind, persistence. And persistence is one of the key ways to manifest anything in your physical world. First of all, you need to have a concept of that desire you want to embody. Make it a concept of yourself, which is simply believe. That's being righteous. As against sin, missing the mark. When you are not believing, just like Abraham believed, and it was counted unto him as righteousness. So being it, and then persisting in being it. In Nigerian Palace, you can say, fake it until that word, until you make it. That until is that persistence. I will never let you go unless you bless me. So to move from the concept of self you wish to embody in your physical world, you must know that concept, be that concept right here and now, and you must persist, continue to persist, like persist until you have embodied it. And not just you be it and then you just drop it, like, okay, I've believed. And no, you have to persist in that belief. So this aspect of the mind, persistent, is what the Illumined mystics personified as Philip. And to persist, for you to persist, you already have to know that the Father is the consciousness where everything comes out of. All the experiences I'm having in my physical world comes out from it. So the moment you persist in being it, then you would embody it. It would harden into fact. And it is this discipline of the mind, persist until ideas, ambitions, is this discipline of the mind that states, yet in my flesh, yet in my flesh, I shall see God. So that's embodying your desire, knowing fully well that your consciousness, which is personified as God in the Bible, is the root cause of all the experiences you're having in your visible world due to your concept of self that is impressed on the consciousness. Now let's go to the next one. The sixth disciple, or the sixth aspect or quality of your mind, that you need to discipline so that it will stop behaving like the mob. It is only when these aspects of the mind that the Bible specified as disciples, only when they are disciplined, as you are advised, in the Bible, that they can then become your friend. Only when they are disciplined that they can now become your friend and start serving you. So let's go to the sixth one. Bartholomew. This is the quality of imaginative faculty. Simply, your imagination is what is responsible for creating all the experiences of everyone in this world. It is your imaginative faculty, your thinking, feeling loop. As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. He can open his mouth and say, eat, drink, even if he does eat and drink. But in his heart, is it eat and drink? You can open your mouth and confess anything you want to confess. You can say, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am this, I am that. But is that the concept you hold on of yourself? Because everything is within. Can pay lip service. You can complain and show doubts, which is the kind of prayer everybody pray and say they are praying to God. If you don't be it, you have to be it. And today, know it that believe is be. To be. That's believe. How do you understand that? That's why there's a Bible portion that says, let the weak say, I am strong. It's not like the people that wrote it doesn't know that you are weak. But he's saying, and by saying, it doesn't mean, verbal saying. It means being it. So Bartholomew is a faculty of imagination. Imagination, look at everything in this world was born out of imagination. Somebody imagined it. Somebody imagined it and started everything, all the discoveries, all the inventions. The greatest people in the world are the people that use their faculty of imagination. Go and check it out. The likes of Albert Einstein, the scientists, the engineers, the poets, the artists. It's all imagination. That is the faculty of Bartholomew. It's the faculty of imagination. So you need to develop the power of your imagination. With imagination, you have no limitation. You can sit here in this room, but it is through your imagination you know what is happening in the other room. That's the power of imagination. So that's the aspect of the mind, Bartholomew. You need to discipline that aspect of your mind. Then the next one is Thomas. The word I've somehow put him as a sort of in a bad light. The doubting Thomas. It is actually also tied to Simonpeter, the quality of hearing. Anything, Thomas is a positive disciple, There's none of these disciples that are not in good light, that are not, even if the mistake try to, hide their meaning in a way that they come out as bad from, if you look at them at the surface value. But if you go in to understand their psychological meaning, you will see that they all have perfect good meanings. So that aspect of the mind is the doubting aspect of Thomas, the doubter, the doubting aspect of the mind. He doubts everything. But in this case, the message they are trying to pass about this quality of the mind is that Thomas does not accept, he doubts anything that is not in line with the desire he wants to see in his visible world. So go back to Simon Peter, Simon, who was told, only let dignified and honorable visitor in your house. So any desire, any thinking, any thoughts that, Thomas knows he doesn't want to see in his physical world, he doesn't accommodate it. So doubting means you are not accommodating this thing. You have your reservation about this thing. That's why you doubt. There's a reservation about it. So any of those desires he does not want to play out in his physical world, he has a reservation about it. Please don't come. No. I'm not comfortable with this. That is the discipline Thomas that was personified in the Bible as Thomas. So he understands that consciousness is what produces the things he experiences in his physical world. So if anything is coming and he feels like this news, this thing, I don't want it in my physical world, he doubts it. That's the doubting quality of Thomas. So he's not doubting. If you look at it from the surface value, you think he's doubting, that he's doubting anything. No. He is doubting those things. He's not accepting of those things. He has reservation around those things he does not want to embody in his physical world. So he denies them. So the 8th is Matthew, which is the gift of God, the discipline that is the gift of God. Now, how do you know what the gift of God is? The gift of God, okay, let me put it this way, the way it relates more. When somebody says, I have a gift, okay, so the gift is talking about a sort of what he has come to do in this world. Maybe he has a gift to be a footballer, he has a gift to be a singer, he has a gift to be. All gifts are of God. Consciousness. In fact, gifts of God are desires. So any desire that you have, you want to manifest in your physical world, you should know that it is the consciousness wanting to have that expression. So that's the discipline aspect of Matthew, okay? Which is the gift of God, okay? So for every time you express a particular desire, it is consciousness wanting to have that experience through you. That's why they are all gifts of God. Desires are gifts of God, basically. So the next is, that's the number 9, discipline, or the disciple, or the discipline aspect of the mind, is James, the son of Alpheus. This is simply the quality of the mind for clairvoyance. Not the clairvoyance of mediumistic whatever room where people say they talk to the dead and all of. No, this is the true clairvoyance, the quality of seeing the unseen. If you discipline this aspect of your mind, you will start seeing beyond the physical realm. That's simply what James, the son of Alpheus, means. Now, the 10th one is Thaddeus. I've explained this on a number of occasions, but let me sort of explain it here. It is the quality of mind for praise and thanksgiving. The way to receive is actually to praise. And the thing is that people do not understand what thanksgiving and praise means. Is thanksgiving and praise simply means indicates something received. So in other words, it is a feeling of gratitude. I mean, if you do not receive anything, especially the desire you want, if you don't have what you desire, you're not going to praise. So praise is the moment when you have received what you desired. Then you begin to praise, you begin to give thanks. So what this Thaddeus, the aspect of this discipline of the mind is talking about is you must always be grateful. You must always be in the mood for praise. That is one sure way to receive. Because remember, it tells you, now let me bring it together here. It tells you that the condition for your prayer to be answered is when you believe. When you pray, and he said, when you believe, that's when your prayer will be answered. And I have explained in the past what believe. Believe means being it right now. Be it. So that's why it says, let the weak say I'm strong. So it's be strong. You're weak, yeah, but be strong. Assume that you are strong now. Let the concept of yourself be strong now. So that's the condition for a prayer to be answered. Be in it. Now, when you have a desire that has already not been embodied, you've not experienced it in your physical world, and to experience it, you've been asked that you need to believe. How do you then believe? It is by showing gratitude, because believing means that it has already happened. So that's how praise is. Praise, when you are giving praise, you are giving praise for something that has already happened. So if you discipline that aspect of the mind, Thaddeus, or whatever it's called, you would be showing gratitude, showing praise for anything you wish to embody, because it's an indication of belief that it has already happened. Because to praise and to give thanksgiving means something has already happened, and you need to be in a position of that it has happened before you can receive it. That's why this aspect of the mind, personified as Thaddeus, which is the quality of praise and thanksgiving, is important. So that's why every day you should be thankful, show gratitude. That's why in the Bible it says, thank you, Father. It should be on your lips every time. So the next one, which is the 11th one, is Simonthecananaean. hearing good news. Okay? The good key phrase for this disciple is hearing good news. I also call him Simon the land of milk and honey, basically. It's also tied to Simon, the other Simon, Simonpeter, okay, which was instructed to be mindful of the kind of visitors he allows into his house. So Simon the Canaan, the land, when they say a land, they brought a news that this land is flowing with milk and honey. That's good news. So take us back to Philippians 4:4. Whatever is ennobling, whatever is of good rapport, think of those things. So you need to always put yourself in a position of hearing and associating and thinking and feeling things that are of good rapport, things that are ennobling, good news. That way, in your physical world, you'll be embodying good news in your physical world. So you focus your life on abundant life. That's why the psalmist David, he says, "Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemy, anointest my head with oil, my cup overflow, running over." So always focus, think of things that are ennobling, good news, things of abundance. How can you practically do this? Read novels that is of good news. If anything is not of good news, let the Thomas part of you kick in. Have reservation about it. Don't let it impress on your consciousness. Don't let it be a concept of yourself. If not, you embody it. But if anything be of good rapport, if anything be ennobling, open yourself to it. That is the quality of Simon the Canaan, or Simon, the land flowing with milk and honey. A land flowing with milk and honey is an indication of abundance. And as David the psalmist put it here, "And thou anointest my head with oil." Oil is what the mystics use to represent joy in the Bible. So anytime you see oil in the Bible, you are talking of joy. So be joyful, be joyous. That is. Now, the last, but not the least. You see, this is the most important. In fact, in the pecking order of the qualities of the mind you need to discipline, Judas is the one that should be on top. You see, the world bastardized it because they read and understood the story of Christ not from the psychological point of view that the mystics who wrote it meant it. They read and understood it as a contemporary history, someone who lived in time and space. So this person, Judas, betrayed Christ. I'm going to, because of how important Judasiscariot is, I am going to do a lecture on Judas. I'm going to do a deep dive into that character, Judas. I'm going to expose all of the qualities of Judas, all of the qualities that was personified as Judas, so that you can see the psychological deeper meaning of Judas and see that Judas is a positive character and not the negative one that the world has blackened Judas. Oh no, you betrayed Jesus. Judas actually is the one who identified Christ, who knew that Christ is consciousness, who knew that consciousness is out of consciousness, that everything, good, bad, the organ emanates from. And because he knew that, he then knew that to manifest a positive, pleasant desire, you need to withdraw attention away from the old unpleasant one. You no longer want to see your physical world. So that is the buying of himself. That is the aspect. I don't want to use the word that they used, okay? But you all know what happened to Judas. He did something to himself. He buyed himself. There's a word. I'm careful because of Facebook algorithm. So there's a word that. So what that story is trying to teach is to say, first of all, we know he was the one who identified Christ by what? Kiss. A kiss, and then. So what Judah is representing is that quality of the mind that knows that Christ is the I amness, is the unconditioned awareness of being, that is conditioning all the conditioned states of being. He knew that secret. He's the only aspect of the mind that knew that consciousness is the creator of all things. Then, because he knew this, he then understood that then to change from one state to the other, you need to withdraw attention from the old state, the unpleasant state you do not want to continue to experience in your physical world, and befriend that new state. So you take attention away from the old one and befriend the new. What has happened when you take attention from the old one? You have slayed the old one. That is that point of, being attached to Judas. So then he befriended. Let's read this Bible verse. Let's start with 1. Except ye be born again, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Being born again is not the born again thing. They say stop sinning, and sin means to miss the mark. It has nothing to do with that when you give your life to Christ and all of a vegetated Christ. That's not what it's talking about. Being born again simply means to be born of the new thing, befriending that new experience, associating, mingling, befriending the new experience after dying of the old experience. So when you take attention away from any desire that is currently in your life, you don't want to embody anymore, you take attention away from it. So what it means is, instead of putting attention on the problem, remove your attention from the problem and place it on the solution you want. So the solution is now the exact desire you want to embody. So when you take attention from that old or that unpleasant experience, you have sort of bide the old unpleasant desire, and your attention on the new one will now bet the new desire. That's what this Bible verse is trying to teach. Now, let's also take this one. No greater love hath man than this, he give his life for a friend. So what does this simply mean? No greater love had man than he give his life for a friend. That's what Judas did. Because he identified, he knew Christ as the I amness, the consciousness which is responsible for all the experiences you have in your physical world. Then he pied himself to the old, he pied himself, taking himself away. By pieing himself, he took himself away from the old self, knowing, who Christ is, and then befriended the new self. So because of the new desire he wants to embody, or you want to embody, because all of these phenomena are taking place in you, because of the new desire you want to embody, you need to keep, buy off the old self and just focus on the new desire. Befriend it. That's what this thing is talking about. No greater love had man than this, that he give his life for a friend. So that friend you are giving life is now the attention you're placing on the pleasant desire you want to embody, away from the old unpleasant desire. This is the quality of Judas. That movement. You have a problem, now let's bring it home. You have a problem, you are focusing on that problem. You have not died to that problem to be born again to the new one. But the moment you stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the new one, that new one will become your concept of self. It will then be impressed on the consciousness, and then it will be radiated on your screen of space, and you start experiencing it in your physical world. That's the whole dynamics around Judas. But you know what? I'm going to, treat Judas as a topic on its own. Because this guy is the most important aspect of the disciplines of the qualities of your mind. This is the most important. The movement, going away from the old unpleasant desire and befriending the new one, is the way you can embody it. Because you know that Christ is the I amness, the awareness, unconditioned awareness of being the different conditioned states. The conditioned states are yourself and the world around you that you're experiencing. So, after you have disciplined all these aspects of the mind, that's the point where the Bible says, I have finished the work which thou hast given me. I have glorified thee on earth. And now, O Father, glorify me with thy own self, with the glory which I had before thee, before the world was. That's it. Now, once these 12 aspects or qualities of your mind are disciplined, you will now realize your true self, which is your God self. This is the whole story about the 12 disciples. The 12 disciples are not men or women who lived in time and space. They were not contemporary history people, characters of a contemporary history. No. The 12 disciples are the personification of the 12 aspects of the mind, qualities of your mind that you need to discipline to be able to realize your God self. You need to watch the things you hear, because at the end of the day, everything springs out of consciousness. So discipline all of these 12 aspects of the mind ensures that you are embodying all the desire you wish that is currently swimming, that has not been bettered in you. And the moment you start embodying them into your physical world, that's the moment you have realized your God self. So the Bible was not talking about the 12 people who lived in time and space. It is talking about the 12 faculties in your mind that needs to be disciplined, because if they are not disciplined, they act like the mobs, as against when they are disciplined and act like the disciplined army. How does acting like the mob? You don't control the things you think about. You don't mind you hear any news, whether good or bad, you resonate with it. Tomorrow, it appears in your world, and you'll be wondering how this came. Your enemy has done you this, how your enemy has done you, this person did you, government did you, this, that, and all of those things. You don't know that your I amness is your consciousness, the unconditioned awareness of being, creating all the world around you. You don't know that to buy a problem in your physical world and bet a new one, you need to draw attention away from the existing problem and place it on the solution, what you want to see in your physical world. You don't know it. So when you don't know all of these things, it means that these 12 aspects of the mind are not disciplined. Then they behave like the mob. Anything goes. That's why you need to know about them and what they represent and begin to apply them so that you can discipline them and they become your friend and serve you. Because at this moment, you are serving them. Thank you for listening. I hope that you have learned a lot from today's lecture. If you have any question regarding this subject today, this lecture today, please don't fail to drop it on the comment section and I would respond to you. Okay? Always join us every Sunday at 9 a.m. for Depth Foundation lectures on Genti page. You can also go to Genti YouTube channel, go to Genti Facebook page and listen to our past lectures. Okay? I hope that you continue to enjoy your holiday. I hope that you have known what these 12 disciples truly represent inside of you, and then begin to discipline them so that they can become your friend and begin to serve you, other than to go against you or you serving them. Thank you again for listening, and see you next week Sunday at 9 a.m. prompt. Take care. Bye.